Rock and roll.
Okay. Do you know
Rock and roll.
stands for?
Her princess.
And although they use the name Big Brother, really it's a relationship between a man and a boy. The real benefit is when the relationship between a boy and a man goes through enough changes that it's gelled, that it has a sense of continuity.
It's something that has to be worked on. It's something that, it doesn't come easy.
It is a major commitment because you're dealing with a young person and their emotions, and also you're dealing with time out of your life, and it's got to be an ongoing thing. It can't be just taken lightly and you just drop in for a few months and drop out or whatever.
The relationship with Benjamin and Graham is one now that's set for life. It's established. I don't think about it at all. The difference in the relationship with Jerry and Lucas is they're temperamentally very different, and the match is green. It's a new match. Our life is not a romantic life, and the idea of a woman and children by themselves is a lot of struggle, and we make as much joy of that as we can, and we all contribute to making that work. We're very close, we communicate freely, so as a result there's a lot of exchange and interaction that goes on. In our family, it wasn't my plan that the boys would not have a father and would not have that contact. That was the way it evolved as the result of their father's decision.
Squad, attention! Fight stand at S.
My name is Lucas Dan. I'm 11 years old. I would like to be a fighter pilot. I'd like to fly for the Canadian Forces and try to get to be at a point where I could be a squadron leader.
Jerry and Lucas are both cool, energetic, action-oriented, so they like a lot of arousal, a lot of contact, a lot of gratification. They both like this in a relationship. And so in the beginning of the match, of course, they got lots. It was exciting, and they could do fun things, and they were amusement for each other. And like any relationship now, they've hit a difficult time.
I think as far as communication goes in any relationship, it's something that has to be worked on. It's something that, it doesn't come easy. And communicating for me is something that comes very difficult, unless it's in a, in a business environment and I just say what I want and, and I take the bull by the horns and I get the job done, or whatever the case may be.
Okay, let me see if this works.
And sometimes I forget Lucas is only 10 or 11 years old. And I think the biggest problem with that is that, I expect him to be like 20 sometimes. I forget that he's 11.
Graham is my big brother. He's a friend, he's a buddy. He's someone I respect. And someone I can ask questions if I have them. Someone there so they can support me if something goes wrong.
Graham and Ben have created a nature between them, and they have created a continuous relationship that is interwoven in both of their lives.
Going 28 feet and 4 knots.
One time I was out with Benjamin, and he'd obviously been thinking a lot about our relationship. And then he popped the question, he said, can I call you Dad? And I went, whoa, hang on a minute. Ben, I'm your big brother, I can't be your dad. And he said, he had all the answers. He said, he said, yeah, well, you spend time, it'd be nice to call you Dad. And I said to him, well, we're big brothers and I just spend 4 to 6 hours a week with you. He said, well, that's more than a lot of the dads at school spend with their kids. I've checked.
I had a big brother once before, but he had too much work to do, so he couldn't hold the responsibilities. So then I got a new big brother, which was Jerry. He and I have been big brothers for almost a year now. His girlfriend's name is Jody, and he usually see each other on Sunday, which he calls Jody Day. And apparently they are planning to get married soon. And I find that kind of interesting. Jerry has been very busy because he's just taken on a new ownership to Dense Communications. I don't really mind as long as I know, as long as I can understand why he's not able to see me. But if I can't understand, then it starts to get a little upsetting.
Yeah, well, certainly we'll just talk about it. I'll show you what we've got. We'll talk about what it is that.
I'm not a saint. I'm not perfect. I have flaws. But one of the things that we both have to work on is that we're both very indecisive. And I'm an indecisive person, aren't I? I think I am. I'm not sure. I have to think about that. But I'm quite indecisive, and I have a hard time sometimes saying, well, this is what we're going to do, or let's do this, or let's do that, and he's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I don't know, what do I want to? It's almost like going around with a girl for the first time. It's like going out with somebody for the first time. What do you want to do? What do you? And it goes back and forth and back and forth. We bat that thing around, and that's something that we both have to work on.
My opinion in it is that the problem that Lucas and Jerry are having is a communications problem. And Graham and I had that problem about the summer before last. It would be that I was always phone him and he never phoned back.
Really busy time in my business, and Ben was doing more of the calling than I was, and I think Penny was getting quite concerned. In fact, she said to Ben a couple of times, where's Graham? And Ben would defend me. That's the sort of guy he is. He'd say, well, Graham's real busy right now, it's okay.
And for Lucas, he's wanting a lot more contact. And he needs to know that he will settle for a different kind of contact. But they haven't engaged that yet. They haven't dealt with it. And it's a scary time. It's a scary time for a mother. And it's a scary time for the little boy. And I'm sure it's just an apprehensive time for the big brother, who on one hand would kind of like to just not deal with it, and also kind of would like to keep some contact with the little boy without all the responsibility.
And these controls here control the rudder at the back, so you want to keep your feet off those too. Okay? So just kind of enjoy the ride.
My needs are to be able to be with somebody that will listen and that will be able to understand the way I feel, and be able to just try to do something to solve that problem with me.
All I wanted to do was make some little kid's life a little bit better, and if I can do that by spending a few hours a week with them and a phone call here and there, then that's a pretty small price to pay. That's a small price to pay for the amount of satisfaction and the satisfaction I can get out of that. And I think he's gonna, long term, he'll benefit from it as well as I will. I'm learning a lot more from him than I think he's learning from me.
Can't manage how it's going to be resolved, or plan, or whatever. I can bring the situation together and work on a resolution. It's going to be primarily whether the relationship moves into the kind of depth and bonding that Graham and Ben have, and right now it's fragile. And hopefully it will come together, because the sunset's on Jerry as far as Lucas is concerned.